Yeah, what's going on today, fam? So we are continuing our spring prep on the C5 Z today. And what we have here, the first of many mods, as y'all can see. Don't worry about all that. We're gonna focus on this right now, right? We are going to be installing these improved racing oil pan baffles. So pretty much what these are going to do is these are going to stop oil from leaving around the oil pickup when going through high G turns. So it'll let oil in, but when the oil tries to leave, it'll shut close like so, keeping a fresh supply of oil to your engine at all times. So the only things really needed for this kit are oil, because you have to drain all your oil in order to install these in your oil pan. You are going to need an oil filter, mobile one for the win. You don't need a lower oil pan gasket, but it is recommended. If yours is over a certain mileage, I figured why not just do it while I'm there, because I don't like leaks. And obviously the oil pan brackets themselves. So the first thing we're gonna do is drain the oil. I'm not gonna bore y'all with draining the oil, so I'm gonna go ahead, drain the oil out, and remove everything, and then we'll focus on taking off the oil pan. All right, so while this is almost done draining, I also got my oil filter removed. I'm gonna go ahead and start taking off the lower oil pan. So it is these 10mm bolts that run along the outside right there, and also these two in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do those, and then we will have access to drop our whole lower oil pan, and then we'll go ahead and get these oil pan baffles installed. Lower oil pan is removed. I cleaned it. I cleaned up around the gasket mating surfaces. I degreased it, all that stuff, to get all that like old little sludge and stuff out. Over on the car, I cleaned up all of the mating surfaces over here. Also, I test fitted one of the oil pan baffles right here, as you can see. So as you see, like with the way that it goes, it opens that way, so it'll let oil in, but when the oil tries to come out, it will catch it like that. So that is the way that it's supposed to work. So the next step, I will be installing all the oil pan baffles, getting the final fitment. I'll show you guys once they are installed. They install pretty easy. They literally just click in and you give them a couple taps and they stay there. And the way they're held up is by the oil pan, is by the lower oil pan. It will touch this and hold it in place so they're not able to move. So that's the way those work. So I'm going to go ahead, get the final fitment, and I'll show you guys from there. So I got these pressed in. So the rear one, the tolerance is machined very well. It literally like clamps, like it doesn't move or whatever. The front ones, they have a little bit of play, so when you bolt down the oil pan, and when you reinstall the lower oil pan, it will secure those in place, so you don't have to worry about those moving around, but they don't touch up top or anything like that. There's still plenty of space. So for those not still understanding how it works, so imagine there's oil filled in the bottom of this, right? So you go to take a hard right-hand corner. So what's this going to do is this door is going to shut, preventing the oil from going away from the oil pickup. So let's say you are accelerating very quickly, right? So when you brake, this is going to open up, allowing oil into the oil pickup. But when you hit the accelerator, it will close in order to keep the oil by the oil pickup to maintain oil pressure. So the whole reason behind this install is literally to protect the engine and keep it alive for as long as possible, keep it healthy, keep my oil pressure up, because literally oil pressure and oil temp, like those are super important, you know, when it comes to an engine and keeping it healthy and all that good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead now. We have to modify our pan gasket. Hold on, I'm gonna take this out of there right quick and we'll consume. As you can see, I have the oil pan gasket just laying on the oil pan right now, and I'm gonna show y'all what we need to do. So, per the directions, everything you see in red, we have to take our handy dandy dikes, and we need to clip that out. So, right here, this is right here. So this is where the oil pan baffle now sits. So what I need to do is modify this right here to clear. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right quick. Cool, so got that one modified, got that cut out. So now our oil pan baffle will sit and this will press against it to keep tension. Next thing I need to do is trim this one and this one. But when I do this one, I'm going to take the gasket first and fit it like so, just so I can make sure I get the cut as close as possible. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put in some of the bolts to hold it in place, and then I'll make my cut. Okay, y'all, so I made my cuts. I'm gonna do my best to hold this up for y'all. I did use the lower oil pan bolts to hold it up, well, to assist me with holding it up, but these are the cuts I made. So one right here to alleviate that right there, and then on the back right there. So now I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the lower oil pan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the gasket on the lower oil pan. I'll put some bolts inside of it to help keep it aligned. I'm gonna keep it loose and so I can make sure that the gaskets is straight, and then I'll go into the torquing sequence. All right, y'all, so I got these all hand tight. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna torque them in a star sequence to 106 inch-pounds or 9 foot-pounds. So by star sequence, I mean that one, then come back across that one, and you know, like so forth and so on. Basically, you're just making a star. Like you're going from one side to the other, back and forth to make the star. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten that down. Then we're gonna reinstall our oil pan. Excuse me, then we're gonna reinstall our oil filter, top her off with oil, start her up, and make sure there's no leaks. Then we will move on. Okay, y'all, word of advice, don't be like me. The torque spec is so low on these, and I didn't feel my torque wrench click, and I broke one off in there. Luckily, I was able to extract it very easy. I just had to drop back down the pan. I took a screwdriver, and it was loose enough to where it just came out like that perfectly. So now I got it all torqued. Now we're going to go ahead and put back on our oil filter. Like you saw earlier, we got the mobile one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this with oil. So you always want to fill your oil filter with oil. It helps the engine to build oil pressure faster after that initial oil change, and it protects everything better. So I'm gonna fill this with oil. I'm gonna put oil around this ring, and I'll reinstall it, and then we'll go ahead and fill it with oil and start her up and see how our oil pressure is. All right, pimps and pimp-yettes. Let's talk oil right quick. I am running the Rotella T6 4 synthetic 5W40. My reason for going with this oil instead of 30 weight is because a 40 weight offers better protection for your engine. When your oil temperatures rise, it will not thin out as quick as a 30 weight will. So that will offer you better protection on your bearings and all that good stuff. And that is why I run this. This stuff is also very affordable. It's a diesel oil, because really there's no difference. But diesel oils are supposed to have different nutrients and stuff like that, zinc and yeah, all that fancy stuff that makes it better for the engine. So the LSs seem to like them. So the LS takes 6 quarts of fluid, I believe, but I run 7 quarts because the GM manual recommends you run a quart over if you are doing any type of high performance driving. So let's get this thing filled and started. Okay, moment of truth. We're gonna start her up right quick. Make sure we build an oil pressure and there's no leaks. Okay, you see the oil pressure going up. Took a little while, but it built quickly. Okay, cool. So we got oil pressure, no leaks. That's all she wrote. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up filling up all the rest of my fluids. But that was pretty much all it was to installing the oil pan baffles. So that's a reliability mod. One that if you track your car or drive it hard, it's definitely worth doing. So take it easy, I'm out. But please do like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. What's going on, brother?